Thank you very much, Shocks. I am Atlas. I'm now joined by the wonderful James Stress O'Leary here on the caster desk to take you into Game 2. Of course, Southeast Asia versus Oceania. And if I start crying during, towards the end of the game, you're just going to have to help me because there's a lot of memories here for this particular matchup.
Yeah, I mean, some people would think maybe there's a little bit less pride for the Oceanic All-Star team now that Rusty's gone. I'm a little bit shorter and a lot less oxidized than he is. But when it comes to supporting Oceanic regions, I'm pretty confident, pretty happy with that. In the rugby, normally I have to end up supporting Australia and New Zealand after Wales crash out. So there's a little bit of pride. I'm looking forward to seeing how they can do. But, it always comes down to this. When the Southeast Asian teams play, everybody always underestimates them. There's a wealth of talent on this lineup, and I can't wait to see what they can do in today's games.
Yeah, especially with the mechanical skill level as well. I'm just going to completely ignore the rugby reference because we knocked you out so early on anyway, so it doesn't even really matter. That's okay, but it's just ridiculous watching these Southeast Asian players play because G4 especially, this guy in the mid lane, it's just ludicrous, especially very early on in these games when he can just rely on his massive mechanics. I mean, towards the later stages, does sort of fall off just a little bit, but the rest of it, really, really scary to see. But we'll see how Oceania does go up against this side, because I know a whole lot about these players, and the fact that they do have so many powerful voices on this team in the right places is really fantastic. Carbon as a shot caller, and especially as an emotional sort of control on the team, is just fantastic. We've seen it on the side of Legacy as well. The fact that they never give up in a best-of-5 series ever just means that he's just got all of that sort of emotional capability, the ability to sort of mentor his teammates as well. It's just fantastic.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how much of that control comes through into a lot of the changes that came into the preseason patch when it comes to the Rift Herald and, the change to objective focus. And we didn't see too much of Game 1 where we've been seeing duo lanes up in the top lane. We didn't see that too much. I wonder whether we'll see Carbon go from more jungle-focused presence onto the Rift Herald, look to get that quickly after a kill, because I was a little surprised in Game 1 how low the actual priority was on the Rift Herald, because you get it onto your top laner, you basically get the turret first time. And if then you don't deal with that as the enemy jungler, it's incredibly easy to snowball a top lane just from getting one, maybe two Rift Heralds early in the game.
Yeah, we'll see whether they actually change up their style in order to prioritize that one a little bit earlier on. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have a slight delay in getting into this game. We've got a little bit of an audio issue here for Choo Choo's trying to get into this one. He needs to be able to hear his teammates. It is going to be very helpful if he does, so we are going to get him onto the Rift and into the lobby as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and Choo Choo's is just going to be such an integral part of this
If he's
Oceanic.
not there, they're going to have a whole lot of trouble winning the game.
I guess that's kind of a... But he's just so integral and is a player that, when you look at the Oceanic scene, which... I was kind of minorly involved in some scouting very early on in Oceanic days when Team Dignitas had a team. And, we were looking at the players, looking at kind of how young the scene is. He's now a player that has a fair amount of experience and has changed his playstyle a couple of times. Used to play Assassins, coming on to a little bit more Control Mages when you look at exactly how he likes to play. So now with the preseason, does he do that again? Does he change up and go, I want to play this mid lane and come out with something absolutely crazy?
How many styles does he have left, though? I mean, what is it, like zone control mid lane? He could just play Heimerdinger every single game, something like that. We'll see. Could be exciting.
I'm having flashbacks to that 1v1 with Heimerdinger. I'm like, Heimerdinger should have won that 1v1. But
Carbon got lucky. Win all 1v1s, let's be honest. But no, it's Carbon. The guy's a 1v1 god. He said so himself. Oh, wait, no. He was saying that he wasn't very good. That is my bad completely. But no, I actually really like that you brought up Choo Choo's here as well, because he is going to be an integral part, and we'll see whether he's got back onto his Assassin hype train, because you mentioned the Control Mages. This guy's been playing a heck of a lot of Cassiopeia, the likes of Ezreal as well there in the mid lane. Jace is a massive one here for Choo Choo's, but we are going to be getting into Champion Select very soon, and we'll see what's going to be taken away and what's going to be picked up by these sides as the GPL and the OPL battle it out.
Right, so we are into the picks and bans. First ban out, not Soraka this time.
No, not happening this time. Damn it.
I heard your little jabs with Rusty and my Soraka. We'll get to that if we see her. But certainly this time around, this is a lot more standard. This is what I was kind of expecting, looking at the 521 games we saw, with 522 now as well. Pretty standard straight-up bans.
Well, it's looking very standard for, previous patches, though, with the Time Kench and the Twisted Fate being taken away from the GPL side. They are going to ban the Elise this time. Dr. Mundo is taken off from the OPL squad. And it looks to me like the GPL just say, okay, well, we'll just have our pick of the litter of the crazy champions that have been left up. But Aurelia or Jax are going to get through right here.
Yeah, and the Soraka that was first banned in last game will get through as well. Misfortune, we saw have a great game in the first game of the day, the 5v5s. Dr. Mundo banned away, very difficult to deal with. Ridiculous. So obnoxious, so annoying. We're going to have a lot of priority on him the entire time. And at this point, both teams now are going to say, okay, there's Rek'Sai up in the jungle. There is also, the Gragas. You've got Lee Sin. You've got the Evelynn. I'm not too sure we'll see too much. So we're not going to see that as a first priority, as it is going to be the Kalista picked up. And I'm not sure how she fits in right now compared to a lot of the other AD carries. We've seen a lot of Caitlyn, who will outrange Kalista. The matchup is kind of tricky because Caitlyn, you rely on the traps. You rely on the net now to get the headshot procs. So it's a matchup that I'm hoping we get to see, because it's one that I think is going to evolve greatly throughout this week.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and we'll see whether he picks up White Lotus's build there as well with the Infinity Edge now that you've got the crit on that Hurricane as well. You can see Carbon on your screen right now having a chat to Ryu, and Ryu's Rise is available. This is a big deal because this guy in the top lane is crazy when he plays Rise. He's just so good at it. It's what got him to such high favor in amongst the top laners here in the Oceanic region. So we'll see whether he does pick that one up. We heard Yamato Cannon talking about the Rod of Ages, the fact that that's strong. They have a lot of opportunities here. Carbon can't go to his Elise, but Rek'Sai is there, and there's the Rise locked away for Ryu, and Carbon, comfort for him at the same time.
Yeah, and you have to really look at the option for Rise being a flex here as well. Choo-Choo's can pick it up. Mid lane is the other side of that. We saw Faker have so many good games on Rise at World. So right now, the OPL team, the Oceanic All-Stars, have a very solid first two picks of this game, not really showing anything too much. Same can be said for the SEA lineup with just the Kalista. But at this point, I wonder whether SEA are going to go the engage route and just try and look to take the fight, because that is how you see games start to be won on this kind of patch, is the decisive teams, the teams that go all out and make the decisions with Rift Herald, diving turrets, are going to be able to close games out very quickly. That's the kind of team that you see closing games in solo queue quick, not like we just saw in the last game that got stalled.
That was definitely not quick, but we are going to have Alistar and Gangplank locked away. Of course, Archie very comfortable on that GP in the top lane, especially recently. After that change, able to blow his barrels up all over the place. Moss is going to be taking the Alistar against EGIM. Might be a pick away. He may have had a look at 2014 Worlds qualifications where the cow went completely rampant, only for the first day or two, and then everything fell off, as Quickshot said. But the OPL squad now looking to try and round out their lineup. Radiant going to take away the Cogmore. That is the AD carry we were expecting never to see.
Yes, because Cogmore...
Or it could be in the mid lane with a Rage Blade.
If that happens, I'm going to be incredibly surprised. But Cogmore right now, when you look at it, the champion needs to stand still late into the game, because you can't orb walk on Cogmore late game. As soon as you hit over the attack speed cap, because of course that was one of the biggest changes. Cogmore can now exceed the 2.5 attack speed per second cap. So you may see a 5 attack per second.
Can you orb walk at all?
You'd have to be a god.
Attacking that fast.
You would have to be a mechanical god to do that.
Well, Radia has been spoken about as a highly mechanically skilled player, but we'll see. But on the other side of things, we've got a Shen locked in and a Rengar here as well. SOFM looking to try and put on the carry pants as the Rengar has been taken away by Moss. So we'll see what happens. And where's the Shen going? What is top stress? Please help.
It's top lane Shen. Right now, it's top lane Shen, which I actually quite like on this patch.
It wasn't like a blatant assassin, so I was like, G4 can't be playing it.
True. I mean, you look at picks that were available at this. Jax has gone all the way through and not been picked right now. Shen is one of the matchups that you feel can somewhat contain Jax, but pressures the map better. Malphite will just kind of contain anything and then teleport in with his ultimate. So this is going to be a fairly boring top lane. To be completely honest with you, Shen versus Malphite, no one's killing each other for a while. We've come back to Season 3 on this one.
We most certainly have, and you did mention the fact that Choo-Choo's, can pick up the Rise as well. He has been playing it a lot recently. So, of course, to try and make use of this flex pick that they have, and it looks like Choo-Choo's is going to be taking that Rise into the mid lane against G4's Gangplank. And I mean, we mentioned the fact that Archie's been playing the Gangplank as well. It might be the fact that G4's like, okay, well, if you're going to be picking up that champion as well, we can add some ambiguity. Both sides of the map this time are going to be doing exactly that.
I like the thought process here with the Rise, with the Cogmore and the Malphite is you give the GPL team enough to deal with that Kog'Maw just gets to stand there. You have to recognize the Ryze late game and deal with him. Malphite is going to be ulting your team. You have to deal with that and split, at which point Kog'Maw should be able to get a fair amount of damage off, but still, really the difficulty is in the late game, Kog'Maw, if you don't get a safe spot to stand still, that damage is going to go straight through the floor.
And do you ever have a safe spot to stand still when there's Thrill of the Hunt available from SOFM, who's arguably one of the most looked at players on this GPL side? This guy has been top challenger in Taiwan, Southeast Asia, and Korea. This guy is massive coming in for the Southeast Asian team, and he's now on this ridiculous solo queue champion that can just destroy everyone. But guys, get onto Twitter. Use that hashtag GPLWin if you think they're going to take this one down. Also include the IWCA hashtag as well. And if you think the OPL team is going to be able to take this one down, use that hashtag OPLWin. And we'll see who's going to be able to take this one down. Yet another rivalry, as it was, of course, the Bangkok Titans that booted the Chiefs out of any Worlds contention, the IWCQ. But now the GPL squad looking to try and get an invade on Ryu. He's going to ward this one up and then wander slowly away from the brush.
Just to get the vision and just completely back away and have absolutely nothing happen in the early game for this potential lane swap. I mean, that is pretty much what the GPL team are looking for here. OPL doing exactly the same. Very standard throughout Season 5. Get the lanes down. Now you have to look. Is it going to be the 2 versus 2 top lane? Are you going to opt for 2 versus 1, at which point one team gets a significant amount more control over the Rift Herald and can then push towers very quickly from that? Or do you end up in a standard lanes where it's 1v1 top and 2v2 bottom lane, which is pretty much what we've known for the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's very true. And Pinkwood actually started already here for the GPL squad as well. They've got so much control over this top side of the map, and they're actually proxying this wave.
So this is something that doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, this is going to rely so much on coordination now, because this is essentially going to accelerate the first wave into the top lane turret for the GPL. It means that OPL now have to recognize that they can't send anybody up there for a little while longer, because the GPL wave is going to bounce and it's going to zone away anybody from OPL that tries to go up there. I wonder how fast GPL are actually going to look to go from this. They're taking a lot of the jungle camps top side, and that means OPL now have no real reason to send anybody top for a while. And of course now double jungling though, you won't get the added experience that you get from having Smite.
Yeah, well, it's true, and Ryu is now sort of relegated, trying to walk around with this Rek'Sai, and once again, the proxy farming from the GPL squad, 4 members up here. Optimus getting a whole bunch of this farm, now 12 to the 5 of Radiant, who's just happily, standardly farming. Carbon and Ryu hanging out here as well. You can see level 1 for the Malphite might mean that this gangplank could be in some trouble.
4-man mid, this is something that the OPL team...
Oh, okay, so the flash out of G4 as the Dark Binding would have hit true, but not going to find the kill.
This is something that, you know, some teams do very frequently when you notice a new team get put together, where the coordination to pull off very complex lane swap, you know, plays is so much more difficult to work on than, hey, let's go mid and go 4-man, get a flash, try and dive it. That tends to be the easier play, and you can see that GPL is sticking with their play with 3 people up in the top lane, sending Rengar back into his own jungle, and just looking to assume the first turret of the game. OPL, how much damage have they done, if any, to that turret? Because they did send everybody but Radiant into the middle lane. Now they're going to be down there with 4 people, way behind the play on this. This is the first time they've even pushed to the turret.
He's going to take down a lot of these minions, though. You can see the OPL squad able to get a fair bit of this one down, and with another wave pushing forward, they may be able to get it on this one.
May be able to. I'm looking into some of the matchups right now, wondering what G4 in the middle lane has actually taken for his Keystone Mastery, because if he's taken the Deathfire's Touch, he will have a lot of burn damage when you look at the passive that comes from Gangplank. We will get to that as we go through the game. It's one of those things that is going to be such a big factor for every lane matchup, is the choice of what have you actually gone for in this lane matchup. The other one actually that is really funny to go for, and I desperately hope he's gone for it, is the movement speed increase when dealing 30% of an enemy's health. You get like 35% move speed. It's crazy.
Well, Carbon is going to knock the cow into the air for a little while and sit on top of a ward for a little bit longer. Juju's having a fine time here in the mid lane against G4, 25 to 21 CS. The Ryze is farming up quite nicely. No troubles there at all. You can see Archie up there in the top lane with 10 CS in comparison to the 2. 5 5 times the farm of the Malphite.
And this is going to be a horrible lane once Ryu gets up there. Grasp of the Undying is the mastery that Archie has taken on Shen, and you key into that Vorpal Blade as well for the amount of life back you're going to get. Grasp of the Undying, remember, is 3% health back every 4 seconds in combat. So you just walk in and trade with the Malphite again and again and again with Vorpal Blade, and he can basically do nothing but just chip you down, and you get it all back.
Well, Choo Choo's might be in trouble here as SOFM is going to make it into the rush. The leap is going to be available. Throws out the Empowered Bowler, but fantastic flash timing gets Choo Choo's to safety. But that's both Summoner spells down now for the Rise. Yeah,
now Choo Choo's has to be careful. Once SOFM gets that level 6, it's a pretty easy gank read here. That as soon as Rengar comes out of the jungle with that level 6, he's going straight mid lane once again. So GPL with a very clear game plan here for the Southeast Asian All-Stars when it comes to this game. Opening up with the cutting the lane twice, which is something you normally only see once, and they decided to do it twice. But bottom lane, you can see the pressure that Optimus is able to put down in the bottom lane, but that CS lead has actually evened out from the very early onset of this game.
Oh well, Carbon actually going for a bit of an invade here, but is going to get answered. There's the taunt from Archie, just destroyed as the Shen picks up first blood.
I mean, you look at the map control right there that Carbon didn't have. Rift Scuttler was in the other team's favor. You didn't see where the Rengar was. You know he'd just ganked, but that was like a minute ago. He could have been anywhere on the map. You had no read on that, and Carbon went deep into the enemy jungle, was a level behind as it was. That was a very risky play from Carbon and does not pay off at all.
No, certainly didn't, but himself up. This little warding talisman here for the jungle. Going to get himself around, get the vision down. No need to build that side stone anymore. Thank goodness, because Carbon built a side stone on almost anyone. G4 going to teleport back to lane. So G4 was one of these players that we explained as being able to utilize the teleport the most because he was never able to be at the right place on the map at the right time when he took something like Ignite. But now having the teleport available, he can split push to high heaven and then get into the team fights when he's needed, especially now that he's on Gangplank. I mean, he's got a global ultimate, so he's always going to be useful.
And a lot of people were talking about the summoner changes that we'd see from the preseason patch. This is one of the kind of team compositions that you may still see the teleport flash into the Pulverize.
Yeah, the Pulverize is going to get knocked out of the ultimate there from Gangplank. Optimus does use the heal. Archie comes in. Stand United, not going to be able to get rid of him as Optimus even able to hop away from the Acathian surprise. And the OPL squad getting obliterated at this point. Carbon once again getting taken out, and Archie just teleports back in.
Archie was just like, I'm only going to be out of here for a couple of seconds, but the OPL team got caught out by a kind of an obscure timing in the bottom lane. You feel like they'd be waiting for 6, but GPL...
Choo Choo, so much damage onto G4, but unable to quite lock it down.
You feel like the GPL bot lane would be waiting for 6 on Kalista to all in like that, but as soon as you step into range for Flash Pulverize to hit, that is when a Kalista Alistar lane is going to take over. Kog'Maw Morgana this early on into the game just cannot really survive through that. The Black Shield has to be on point, and even then, there is a lot of crowd control that the GPL team have just brought to the table in this bottom lane, and it's causing a lot of problems for the Oceanic All-Stars.
Yeah, it looks to me like the OPL squad looking to try and scale towards the late game. Of course, Rise and Kog'Maw. You look at those champions and you think, yep, they're probably not going to be doing too much towards the early stages, but is it going to be enough in this preseason patch that we've said time and time again? The first 5v5 game that we had today was an outlier, in my opinion. Shouldn't go to about 50 minutes, because this patch seems to be so much faster. Picking all these scaling champions might be dangerous.
Well, it's actually an interesting thing, because the average overall game time across servers actually only went down by 1 minute, which is significant. That is still a significant change.
60 seconds.
But the fact of the matter is that means there are a lot of short games because teams are pressing their leads very quickly. And if the Southeast Asian All-Stars can do that with the Alistar, dive the towers with the Rengar, then we'll see a quick game. The reason the last game just got stalled out for so long was because Jax was so reluctant to split push and couldn't against about a 500 armor Malphite. So if the OPL team can hang on till the very late game using this Malphite to deny any kind of presence, then they could be okay, but look at the level difference.
Oh my goodness, Ryu taking so much damage. SOFM didn't even try to go for any empowered bowler strike. That's not what he's about. He's all about extra damage with that Q.
I mean, you look at that situation. A level 7 Shen against a level 5 Malphite, and in comes a Rengar that's got his ultimate as well.
Yeah, having a giggle there as well.
He is having a giggle in the top lane. But, I mean, that's one of the other things to factor in is the actual experience that you get from kills was tweaked through that. So when you see a champion get a lot of kills, they will accelerate through the game a lot faster. So looking at Archie, he's 2-0-2 right now, been involved in 100% of the kills and has got a lot more experience from that. And they just turned that into another kill onto Ryu. And Ryu now absolutely can't go even past his inner turret here. He cannot afford to push into Shen because Shen is so much stronger than him at this point in the game.
And with that extra Keystone Mastery as well, I mean, he can't be shoved around. Even if Carbon comes up there, he's just going to get all of his health back. You can see the OPL squad looking to try and get some work done onto G4. Who will probably eat oranges and will most likely be K.
Yeah, I mean, he had no flash, and there is a little bit of crowd control that was there. I guess you had the Rune Prison, but as you said, the Mandarin's going to come out. G4's going to run back away, and it should have been fine. Also had his ultimate, so actually the presence from the Oceania All-Stars was going to be negated somewhat with the damage that would come from Gangplank. But this is a very interesting setup because I was kind of going to touch on this a little bit earlier with the teleport from mid lane. This is the triple global composition that GPL are trying to run here when you look at 2 teleports plus the Shen ult and I guess the Gangplank as well. It's pretty old style, but it's one of the only ones we'll see that teleport in the mid lane. When you can actually run 2 very strong solo lanes.
Oh, G4 in a whole lot of trouble. Choo-Choo's trying to get the damage done. One last Q! Not going to be enough as Stand United came in as well. Archie saving his mid lane. SOFM Thriller the Hunt's down. Carbon waiting for the knock-up. Not going to let that Rengar get any work done, and man, that was close for Choo-Choo's.
It was close, but he had to back away. Couldn't get that last bit of damage out. Now Ryu in trouble again.
Yeah, he most certainly is. The Pink was hanging out there. Carbon trying to save his top laner. There's the ultimate. SOFM in a bit of trouble. The flash offering from Carbon locks it down. Does Ryu. Egypt making his way through as well. The barrels are down as G4 trying to explode that one, but he's going to get taken out. Choo-Choo's so huge in this fight. Not a lot of damage available for the Shen, and the OPL team showing that they certainly can team fight.
And this is the difference between the old kind of compositions with Shen's support to a Shen top lane. The global presence is only useful if you're using them to bring more members to the fight. If you're already there with everybody that has a teleport, that's all you've got. In came the rest of the Oceanic All-Stars, and there was just more people on the map for the OPL in that area because down in the bottom lane, you could see Optimus and Moss were still trying to push onto the turret, and now the turret game is going to get pushed into the advantage of the OPL team right here. Rek'Sai even just going to fly his way straight across the map and help out down in the bottom lane and hold the turret for themselves. OPL coming up big in that fight.
And the Rage Blade has been completed now as well for Radia, so part of what I said was correct, but it was going to be in the hands of Radia playing that champion, and I love this. It turns him into this, like, after 8 auto attacks, it turns him into Jinx, pretty much. Because you've got the rockets to do the AoE, you know, but you've just got a bajillion attack speed. I like it.
I don't mind it right now. I'm interested to see how it keeps going. How does this build progress here? Because I'm assuming he's going to go flat. Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to go flat 80, or at least 80 itemization from here. There's no point to go anything else. So I wonder exactly what the itemization is going to be.
Maybe you go on hit. Maybe you could build a Nashor's too.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see on hit Kog'Maw. That's not good. I think the Blade of the Ruined King, maybe into the Infinity Edge as the 3rd item, could be something that we're going to see here from Kog'Maw. But itemization for 80s has changed so drastically off this patch.
Yes. Well, he does have Fervor of Battle, I believe, as well as that Keystone Mastery, of course. Kog'Maw pretty happy just to auto-attack as many times as he possibly can, especially with that Rage Blade, so it does synergize quite nicely. He's fallen down in farm just a little bit, but now has picked up that assist. G4 now going to have to be careful once again. The OPL team moving towards this turret. They've got 5 members here. And able to take down that barrel as well, so no wave clear available for the GPL squad, and that could be something that could be a problem here because they don't have a lot of long-range wave clear away from, you know, an ultimate out of G4.
Yeah, and again, this is the Southeast Asian team really kind of almost misplaying with their globals. You look at Kalista down in the bottom lane, you look at Shen up in the top lane, who did have his teleport and his ultimate, but if there's no real target there to, you know, have presence behind that turret, as soon as a Malphite walks up, as soon as he places himself in front of that turret with the rest of his team and you have the numbers advantage, that tower is gone. Yeah. You cannot fight that without any kind of wave clear there. And yes, Optimus will get a turret from it down in the bottom lane. Keep in mind, though, the OPL team have very quickly just got 3 towers on the map. And that is going to give him a fair amount more map presence when it comes to the top side right now. You can see, yeah, it could look towards that Rift Herald sometime soon. 1 pick is all it should take to take that away. But the GPL team do still have the gold advantage.
Yeah, Dragon not looked at here at all either. OPL do have themselves a ward on it, the Oceanian team. Radier just wandering around in his jungle as Chuchu's going to get delivered a blue buff. Now with the Rod of Ages stacking the tier there as well, this Ryze is getting to a very scary point. And look, we watched Worlds. We saw what Ryze is capable of. We'll see whether Chuchu's can do his best Faker impression in this game. Oh yes, Moss in trouble. The immediate flash from Radier, but he's got no turret to go back to. It's a bouncy castle with this little Acathian monster. And it's not so much of a surprise as he blows up onto Optimus, and man, okay. That is definitely a kill.
Yeah, Radiant knew he had to flash instantly and kind of prayed that he was far enough away. Could maybe have used the heal to get that little bit extra of distance, but I think he was dead at that point anyway, and he knew it as soon as that flash was used. But what is the trade going to be here? Are they going to let the Dragon go down and maybe look for the Rift Herald? Doesn't look like the OPL team are in position for that, so this is just going to be a Dragon going down in favor of the Southeast Asian All-Stars. But pretty much nothing in return right now.
Optimus is going to be able to lock that one down. Of course, Ren pretty good at securing the Dragon. You can see there's a bit of a scuffle in the top lane, but they don't have very much damage available to them, and Ryu's just going to clear out the wave and scoot on out of there. A lot of different bits of items. Keeping it at the Balmy Cinder there, and then going towards what looks like a Frozen Heart. There's now Radiant. Has to do with SOFM. He's tanking up the turret as well as Radiant might be able to Acathian surprise him to death. He wants to leap out of the way. He leaps into turret range.
So much used, but he did survive. Look at the impending doom, though. OPL are looking to shut down SOFM.
He's once again. Oh, Ejim does nail the Dark Binding. The flash after him, though, as Archie picks up that kill. Carbon may actually be in trouble here at the same time as the teleport. There's the unstoppable force. Ryu says, nope, you ain't getting out of here unless you manage to Shadow Dash over that wall. Not going to do it. And Carbon's going to lock that one down. Meanwhile, GPL team say, okay, while you guys are being crazy in the bottom lane, we're just going to take the outer turret in the mid.
Very, very scrappy little fight in the bottom lane. That just seemed like it was pretty much for all the marbles when it came to maybe a little bit of ego in the bottom lane. OPL just throwing everything they can at the Southeast Asian All-Stars, just saying, well, we're not going to let you get away from just blowing up Radier at that point. But again, it's another situation, though, where the GPL team are creeping ahead of these plays. Just a great kind of spot from SOFM to know he has the damage, knowing he had that spike just enough to take out Cogmore early game, which of course this isn't the Trinity Force Cogmore that we were seeing previously, which at least you had a little bit more health from the Phage component of the Trinity Force. This is Guinsoo's Rageblade, which it's very squishy, will deal a lot of damage if he gets there, but not this early on in the game. You're looking at 3-4 items before this Cogmore is going to output damage.
He also needs to be auto-attacking for a long time as Carbon just heads in towards the blue buff. Isn't actually dead yet, which is what I wasn't expecting. Able to still get the crowd control off. Flashes out of there as Ejim. He's hanging around as well. Chuchu's now flashes on top of G4. The barrel's down, but Chuchu's does not care at all. G4 trying to get out. Chuchu just says, nope, you're staying here. The OPL squad able to get at least one kill. I don't know how they did so, because that was so optimistic from Carbon. Ended up paying off as now they're trying to turn it around. The GPL squad trying to do some work. Moss wants to go back in for the knockup as Radier. Acathian Surprise is going to be his only damage option at this point. Ejim now with the Soul Shackles on cooldown. Archie just soaking Chuchu's damage. Can't do it. And this Ryze is so big. Optimus now does have to be careful. Moss is going to die. Chuchu's going to come in, and they're going to explode the whole team.
Oh,
don't even worry about it.
What a team fight from Chuchu's, just absolutely decimating everything in that fight. At least the triple kill at the end there coming from Chuchu's. I thought Archie was just tanky enough to absorb most of that, but I believe Archie hadn't had that Spirit Visage completed just before that. But this was the second half of this fight. This was after running from that top jungler. Just watch. I thought that Archie may have been able to just sit in the middle of this, but Chuchu is at full health, still outputting just
so
insane amounts of
man.
damage. Insane damage coming from Ryze here.
Well, Moss is going to be taken out there as well. You can see on the backside, Carbon was even able to answer immediately. That Rengar was trying to get out. G4 just hasn't been able to get going in this game just yet. Now has his Trinity Force going towards what could be the Essence Reaver. Oh, actually, no, isn't going to be, because he'll cap himself on the cooldown reduction. Looks like the Infinity Edge as the second item here.
Yeah, that does look like what it is going to be on the other side. Rod of Ages and the Seraph's Embrace already taken for Choo-Choo, so he is very, very strong at this point.
Yeah.
If we didn't see it in the last fight, that's going to get worse, and it's going to buy Radiant a lot of time, because this is one of these problems that we were talking about for the team from the GPL, is with Choo-Choo showing just how much he can do already in this game, you now have to focus everything on him, which means Radier is just going to very quietly, even though he's 0-4-5 right now, very quietly farm himself up and farm up to about that 3 or 4 items. This isn't going to be a fast game right now because the GPL didn't take that early lead and consolidate it into a further game. They are trying with these turrets, but they're trading kind of inconsequential tower for now, a middle tower from it as well. So again, GPL now are focused on the bottom side. They're kind of going all in on a couple of dragons to look to win the game from the map control that they have right now. Actually, they're looking for an inhib tower. This is not an inconsequential turret anymore because the GPL stayed. OPL were not pushing fast enough.
Oh, what's happening here as well? They've started up the Baron by the looks of things on the side of the OPL squad. They're giving up this inhibitor. The ultimate goes down, and Baron isn't even going to be taken. That's an inhibitor traded for nothing, as Archie's going to come back in. The heroism of this Shan, as G4 almost manages to take down an extra kill as well, but the OPL squad answer back with a couple, but it looks like the GPL squad are trying to win the game. Ryu's here, but he's the only one. Carbon makes his way through, but he's relatively low. The knock-up lands, and Optimus has to flash away. Fate's Call comes in for Moss, but Ryu whiffs the ultimate just a little bit. Choo-Choo's now trying to catch up. Will he have his ult available? He doesn't. Nowhere near as Optimus is running away, but man, they did so much work in this base on the side of the GPL.
Yeah, great just read from GPL. This one isn't quite over yet. Carbon's still looking to get it, but this is just enough time that OPL aren't doing anything else.
United's available. Moss may actually be able to get out of this one. He's not going to use it because Ejim's going to get knocked away, and they lose the Alistair as well. Archie holds his ult for another day.
And all the meanwhile, OPL were just doing nothing on the map. The death timers were winding down for the team from the GPL, and it means that G4 is back available. Archie is back up as well. And it means GPL can go for this again. Now with the bottom lane inhibitor pushing in, they can set up the vision control around the Baron pit and force 1 or 2 members from OPL to check it all the time. You can see 3 blue trinkets have been picked up by the Oceanic team. And that will give them a good amount of control when it comes to seeing if the Baron is being done. But the GPL team right now are just so far ahead when it comes to the map control from that inhibitor being down. The gold is about to be even again. If this game goes to a stall period and that inhibitor respawns, that is when the OPL team can actually look to fight, but it's risky to push out onto the map because if they go for an objective like Dragon here, the Baron just goes almost instantly with this Kalista.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. SOFM is actually in the bottom lane anyway, so the GPL squad now moving towards the Baron. They don't necessarily need the smite because of course they do have Kalista. He does have the Ren there, but the split pushing Rengar is an odd choice with Ryu there with a lot of armor.
Uh-oh, we're going to see pretty much the same play again. Although this time it's from the OPL. Pretty much the GPL team out of position. OPL team want to push.
Oh yeah, G4 actually taken down to about half health here. Stand United did come in. Optimus trying to get the auto attacks down. There's the flash after the taunt. Carbon right on top of Optimus as Ejim's trying to lock him down. Radius still alive. There is Optimus finally falling as the shutdown comes in. Choo-Choo's so huge in this fight. Looking for G4, is gonna find him. Now the OPL squad getting the work done. Archie falls. Moss is gonna die as well, unless the OPL team decide just to take down the towers. SOFM. Look,
he wants
that's
it.
optimism, my friend.
He wants it. It's not happening.
Yeah.
It is not happening. He's going to go down for the Nexus turrets, or attempt it. OPL team are going to back away. Like, there is nothing that SOFM can do here other than cut the wave and stop the game from ending, but the death timers are so low at this point, which is weird to say after the last game where we had like 70-second death timers. All SOFM can do here is maintain a little control around the Baron pit. And even then, OPL aren't going to be too ashamed to just push in and kill the Rengar when he finds him. But that play from OPL is exactly the kind of play that they need to make here, is when the GPL are split up, like they've done throughout the entire game, take the fight to
Carbon.
the GPL team. And SOFM's been caught.
Yeah, he has. Choo-Choo's just going to blow him up. Radius there as well with the damage. You can see the Rek'Sai still alive now, just mucking around with 2 people as Optimus trying to stick some sticks into him. See, he is going to be able to tunnel his way out. The barrels are going to do some work, but only onto Ejim there as Radius. Now without the protection of his team, but no one's coming around from the GPL. This GPL squad just looked to be floundering a little bit. It seemed like they were all on the same page when they were going for that push, but now that that hasn't worked, They just don't know where to go.
Well, I mean, the push that GPL did was pretty much a push that saved the game for them. They were at a risk of the OPL team just stealing it away, and you can see the gold has now gone in favor of OPL. And looking at this one, and Smite Steal should not come through. OPL have to fight before the Rend actually comes out here.
Yeah, the ultimate comes in though from the GP, and man, that barrel's doing some work. Choo-Choo's finally falls. The shutdown comes in for Optimus. Radiant has to turn tail and run. The exhaust may not be enough here though, as Radiant has to use the heal. The Ren comes in for the slow, and he's just gonna fall down. The triple kill for the Callista. And the GPL team, the mechanical play in these team fights is so beautiful to watch.
The only thing about that fight was it seemed like the OPL team were under the impression that teleport was available from Ryu at that point. I mean, half of the cooldown left. Had Malphite been there, that is the kind of fight that the OPL team could have taken. Without him there, I mean, that's not really something that's going to happen. You cannot protect for the Cogmore. The Rise is easy to focus down without any front line standing in front of him. I mean, it was the timing was right, but the people that were in the area was wrong for the OPL. And the fact of the matter is they had to deal with the bottom lane. Ryu was saving the Nexus towers at that point. So it is pretty much the only play that can be made. He is pushed up a little far in the bottom lane when it comes to actually saving a tower, so maybe could have looked to have headed over early. But early on in this fight, you can see the damage coming from Gangplank. He had already at this point upgraded Death's Daughter, so massive hit in that fight. From here, there's just not enough health left on anybody in the OPL team to stay alive. And this is a very back and forth game when it comes to actual decision making on objectives, and that one goes in favor of the GPL team once again.
And they are going to be able to use it to take down this dragon as well. The inhibitor has respawned for the OPL squad, not quite yet to come back for the GPL there in the mid lane, so may buy some respite for the Oceanic team. But they're definitely on the back foot, especially now. These Marin buff minions. Oh, Radia's dead.
Goodbye.
Okay, SOFM just doing Rengar things. We've all seen those videos.
That is one benefit of the Guinsoo's Rageblade, which I don't condone, by the way, but the added AP that you get makes a Cathian Surprise really nasty. Makes it really nasty. It's a nice boom after you leave.
Does it fall off by the time? Okay, probably not.
Oh, well, I just mean the blasting one. Like, come on, we got to look for benefits coming from somewhere on that item.
Does a Cathian Surprise scale? I don't think it does. I don't know. I know it does true damage, but I didn't think it scaled. There's Archie is going to get locked down, but you can see he's not taking too much damage. GPL squad able to take down that inner turret very easily. There's a big wave pushing in the top lane though, as the OPL team have managed to at least get that one organized. Moss is going to be heading back to base, grabbing himself some extra items. Does have the Righteous Glory there, which is handy. You know, it's got the horns. Already looks like a cow.
We have a Last Whisper on Rengar, which is an item not expecting to see too much of. It is, however, helping him against the likes of anybody that isn't a tank.
Yeah.
Because not a whole lot of survivability on Radiator and that, so it will help him kill the Cogmore pretty quickly, but it's not going to help him all that much against pretty much the Malphite. I mean, he's not really looking for that as a target as it is, but certainly Last Whisper as an itemization choice has started to fall off just because of the change that it was made to bonus armor when it comes to overall armor. So I guess it's fine in this situation, but if SOFM doesn't blow somebody up, his role in the team is kind of small as it is.
It seems like he's trying to patch up something that he shouldn't be doing anyway, which is odd. But he's got a lot of different AD items. I like that, you know, pickaxe, longsword, hanging out, warrior enchant there, as well as the Yomu's Ghostblade. This is the one-shot Rengar we all know and love.
Hurricane onto Cogmore as well. So if you want to stack it quick in fights at this point. So we could actually see Radiator output a lot of damage in this next fight, if again he is safe.
If he's ever left able to get auto attacks off stress, I think he might be able to get some work done. The problem has been this Rengar that we can see on our screen right now, who's just not let him.
Yes, it's been a fairly good game for SOFM in that respect, catching out the squishy targets, looking for Radiator, just take him off the map as soon as he can, and it reduces the OPL's ability really to actually contest any objectives. This game, however, feels a lot later than it actually is. It's 28 minutes, which, you know, we're still expecting games to be well over this length at this point.
Precisely.
Still looking for that 38, 37-minute mark. But it just feels like GPL are running out of options for themselves. OPL are kind of like, well, we'll just wait this one out because we got a Rise and a Cogmore, and we don't really have to make any proactive decisions.
Well, we'll see whether it's going to pay off for them, because of course Archie's only going to get tankier and tankier. G4, he's building another Infinity Edge. He's probably just going to keep stacking them from this point onwards. And he's going to blow up minion wave after minion wave, getting all of that cash money. And he's now taking the CS advantage as well. I mean, it was at a point where ChuChu's had almost a 20 CS lead. The G4, with his standard G4 ways, split pushing things up. Able to get himself. What the heck, Radio? That is a lot of auto attack.
It is a lot of attack speed. He is sitting at 2.1 base attack speed right now. So goodbye attack speed cap.
Yep.
If anybody hasn't seen a 5 attack speed Cogmore, by the way, it's the most hilarious thing. Watching the animations try and catch up, he just doesn't move and just fires out 1,000,000 attacks.
Yeah, it's almost like he's actually vomiting in a stream. Well, we'll see whether he gets to that point or whether SOFM is never going to let him. Last Whisper has been picked up here for Optimus as well, so looking for that item from the Callista. Does have to deal with Ryu and Carbon a little bit more.
Yeah, and this is a little bit more towards what we were seeing in the last, not in the last game, but previously. We saw the Infinity Edge in the last game, I believe it was, on the Callista, which is a big departure from what you used to build on Callista, not a crit-based attack damage carry as it is. So this time, I wonder whether we're going to see the Mortal Reminder or the other one, which one applies Grievous Wounds, the other does difference in max health damage. I always want to call it Lord Van Damme's Pillager, but that's like the Dominion item. I'm like, bring Dominion items in.
Yeah.
Okay. Twisted Tree Line.
I do like that item, though.
I do.
I always build it because I can't build it anywhere else. I don't know whether it's ever good on Mordekaiser, but I do it anyway.
On more.
I don't think so, Stress.
Remind me not to play. Remind me not to play with you.
No, well, G4 is up here in the top lane trying to deal with Ryu. Is doing quite a fine job. Ryu actually can't really answer too much. Just going to clear out that wave as best he can. SOFM doing the same thing here in the mid lane. The rest of the OPL squad now moving down that area as well. Archie was split pushing in bot, and it looks like this sort of 1-1-1 with the bottom lane just hanging out in base. He's putting on a lot of pressure here for the OPL squad.
So it is Lord Dominic's regards.
Oh, it was close.
So I'm going to just call that Lannister's regards for now, because I can remember that a lot easier. We'll see if they send them in this situation. Of course, as we said, that does difference in max health between you and your target. It stacks up to an additional 500, so can be fairly significant. Stan United used to get himself out of this.
Yeah, but he's not going to be able to get out of there just yet. Now going to try the teleport, and that one's not going to work either as ChuChu's makes his way over. So Archie now completely out of options, going to get slowed down, uses the flash, and he's going to get zapped to death by the turret. No, ChuChu's flashes forward. And the Rune Prison, you can't dodge that one, buddy. The rest of the GPL teams, though, they're going to be able to take down this Baron. Relatively no contest. No, Ryu doesn't have his ultimate. The steal comes in over the Ren. How did that even happen? The OPL squad now trying to take down the GPL team. Ryu right in amongst this back line. Radius still alive, wondering how that's even the case. And Carbon, what?
Massive, massive steal is what it was. How does that shouldn't happen. Like, straight up shouldn't happen. Callista should rend that every single time. And you can see Radiant did have the space to get his attacks in because everybody from the GPL team was locked inside the Baron pit. So between ChuChu's and Radiant, the damage just shredded all the way through them. G4's got so much work still to be done here. I don't think this is going to be the end of the game, but the OPL team have just done enough to blow this wide open with that Baron buff.
Yeah, they could be able to pick themselves up a Dragon here as well, and those 6% stats now at 33 minutes could be something that they're looking for. SOFM not going to be able to find his way in with that Thrill of the Hunt. And that's another big cooldown. Actually, the OPL squad decided to go back in on this one. ChuChu's taking a lot of damage from that barrel. The slow comes down as well. SOFM gets flashed on by Carbon, but a massive knock-up with the Fates Call. Ryu in with the ultimate as well. They're not going to be able to do too much as Radiant is still alive, trying to kite as best he can. The taunt comes in, the barrels doing so much work. The GPL team might even be able to finish this. There are no Nexus turrets turrets, and it's a triple kill for G4. We said watch out for this guy, and I think we definitely needed to.
That was so close to the OPL. They had the game in their hands. The problem was Ryu, who has to cause enough of a disturbance, went on to SOFM, over a wall, away from the rest of the team, and it just blew the team fight open. Completely exposed Choo-Choo's, completely exposed Radiant, who just couldn't kite back, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be the OPL squad starting off at a low. This might mean that we're going to fight back even harder towards the end. Maybe we fixed it. So we can start with a loss and then win as we go through. But what a hard-fought battle on both sides with some really ridiculous decisions being made, but seeming to be countered quite effectively.
Yeah, very, very back and forth on the decision-making.
Yeah.
A lot of similar decisions when it came to pushing inhibitor turrets, pushing inhibitors, but ultimately, misplay from both teams, and it was the second misplay that just left the death timers wide open for the base. That's a tough loss. After taking the Baron steal, taking away the team fight, that is a very tough loss for the OPL team. Looking at the position they were in.
Yeah, and sort of managing to get the flow of the game back in their favor as well for that small amount of time. I could imagine it's a bit of a rush of blood to the head as they're just trying to engage, get back in there, and then they could have finished the game potentially with the super creeps heading towards the base, but wasn't to be. And G4, you have to say, the barrels he was managing to get down in that last team fight were ludicrous. He was doing so much work.
Yeah, he was doing so much work, and I actually, like, looking at that game, just I cannot really overemphasize Choo-Choo's. From that start of the game to about the 30-minute mark, he was just pretty much putting the OPL team as hard on his back as he could at that point.
Yeah, they were like in that scroll on his back, aren't they? Something like that. The Rise was incredibly powerful, definitely able to lock down. Even the likes of Archie, who went for that magic resist very early on. He had that Spirit Visage. He was able to